Tánaiste, there seems to be a bit of an unholy row has broken out across at City Hall tonight over the location of the new modular units for the homeless. Would you accept that the 5 locations that have been chosen, they all seem to be rather working class areas, and that seems to have upset a lot of people over there?
Well, let me say that I made a private visit to the site, at Fairview Bridge, beside the fire station where the modular units have been erected. And I visited with people involved in homeless services in Dublin, and indeed with Dublin City architect Ali Grehan. And I must say I was pleasantly impressed. I spent a couple of hours there quite a few weeks ago. Kevin, I think, had been down there the day before I was there, and similarly spent a lot of time. And we had a very detailed discussion about it. The units have a life of 35 years. In a couple of the examples, an even longer length of life. In a situation where we have families in hotel rooms, our aim would be to use these modular units to allow those families to have a family space, a family home. They're finished and they were presented to a very high standard. Obviously the choice of where the units are to go is essentially a matter for the City Council, but I would hope that what the councillors would focus on would be the absolute need to get as many families out of hotel rooms and into, in particular, what was presented to me and what I saw as very attractive units. They're modular, they're not actually prefabs, and provided that the location they're at is properly finished off, properly presented, so that, for instance, families with children can live at those locations, then I don't see an issue with it. In my own area of Dublin 15, there are something like 3,500 local authority houses, or houses that were originally local authority and have now been purchased. And all I can say is that it is for the council officials and the members of the City Council to actually look at and evaluate the sites. But please, can I ask the members of the City Council not to be finding potentially spurious and bogus reasons as to why the day keeps being put off when we actually develop social housing. I think good debate and discussion on the merits, demerits of all the sites is absolutely in order, but at the end of the day, if the problem, as it were, is going to be talked out, we're not going to see very much action in terms of the quickness of the solution that these units potentially afford.
The Gardaí have rejected it this evening, or voted against the Lansdowne Road Agreement this evening, and that must be disappointing for the Labour Party, because you have the teachers against it, now the Gardaí against it.
Well, the fact is that a majority of the Public Service Committee of Congress and the unions affiliated to that have voted clearly in favour of it. And of course, in this process, which is via the Lansdowne Road Agreement, clearly people who have issues to raise will have to reflect. The legislation is going through the Dáil as we speak. It offers, particularly for lower paid civil servants, a very significant restoration over the period of the deal to make up for losses and cuts that they took in the national interest at the time. It is a process that is going to take some time. It's focused on lower paid people. It already commands the majority of the votes in respect of the Public Service Committee of Congress, and that's with whom.
Are you disappointed the Guards are against it?
Well, the Guards have to make, and the different Garda units and echelons, unions and echelons have to make, or associations and echelons have to make up their own mind. We live in a democracy, and it's for them, obviously, to discuss with their members how they're going to deal with this.
Thanks very much.